till we will finish the 36, which is the last shloka. So we will today finish this chapter 16. So let's see, where are we? We are at shloka 26. And it's a very big shloka and a very big purport. Nonetheless, we will read because these are all the qualities of the Lord that we have. So last time we all saw there is a conversation between Dharma, the bull and the cow, and both of them were discussing on certain questions, on the conditions, and they are answering each other. And one of the questions that we saw last time was, the cow was asked, "Are you lamenting that?" Are you lamenting that Krishna has left this material world? Are you lamenting on that part? So there were some 11 questions in the last slide that we covered. So now this is from 26 till 30 is all about the 40 qualities of Shri Krishna. So we will read this shloka and then we'll go to the purport. Purport is very long, so we'll do it quick. Okay, so let's start on from 26 till 30. Satyam shocham daya kshanti tyaga santosha arjavam damo shamo damah stapasamyam titiksho parati shrutam jnanam virakti aishwaryam shauryam tejo balam smriti swatantrayam kaushalam kanti dhairya mardhavemacha pragalabhyam prashayah shilam saho ojobalam bhagaha gambhiryam stairyamastikyam kirtimano ahankritihi ete chanyacha bhagvanitya yatra mahaguna prarthaya mahatvam prarthaya mahatvam ichchati na vinayanti sma karhi chet tehan guna patrena srinivasena sampratam shochami rahitam lokam papmanam kalinekshitam. So let's go down. Okay, so let's read the translation and then someone can read the purport. I'll read the translation first. These are all the qualities. Okay, so let's start. Translation. In him resides truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of another's happiness, the power of control, anger, self-satisfaction, straightforwardness, steadiness of mind, control of the sense organ, responsibility, equality, tolerance, equanimity, faithfulness, knowledge, absence of sense enjoyment, leadership, chivalry, influence, the power to make everything possible, the discharge of proper duty, complete independence, dexterity, fullness of all beauty, serenity, kind-heartedness, immunity, gentility, magnanimity, determination, perfection of all knowledge, proper execution, possession of all objects of enjoyment, joyfulness, immovability, fidelity, fame, worship, rightlessness, being as the personality of Godhead, eternity, and many other transcendental qualities which are present and never to be separated from him. That personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty. Lord Krishna has now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. In his absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere. So I am so sorry to see this condition of existence.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Even if it were possible to count the atoms after smashing the earth into powder, still it would not be possible to estimate the unfathomable transcendental qualities of the Lord. It is said that Lord Anantadev has tried to expound the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord with his numberless tongues, and that for numberless years together it has been impossible to estimate the qualities of the Lord. The above statement of the qualities of the Lord is just to estimate his qualities as far as a human being is able to see him. But even if it is so, the above qualities can be divided into many subheadings. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the third quality, intolerance of another's unhappiness, can be subdivided into protection of the surrendered souls and wishes for the devotees. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord states that He wants every soul to surrender unto Him only, and He assures everyone that if one does so, He will give protection from the reactions of all sins. Unsurrendered souls are not devotees of the Lord, and thus there is no particular protection for everyone in general. For the devotees, He has all good wishes, and for those who are actually engaged in loving transcendental service of the Lord, He gives particular attention. He gives direction to such pure devotees to help them discharge their responsibilities on the path back to Godhead. By equality, number 10, the Lord is equally kind to everyone, as the sun is equal in disturbing its rays over everyone. Yet, there are many who are unable to take advantage of the sun rays. Similarly, the Lord says that surrendering up to unto Him is the guarantee for all protection from Him. But unfortunate persons are unable to accept this proposition, and therefore they suffer from all material misery. So, even though the Lord is equally well wishing to everyone, the unfortunate living being, due to bad association only, is unable to accept his instructions in toto, and for this, the Lord is never to be blamed. He is called a well wisher for the devotees only. He appears to be partial to his devotees, but factually, the matter rests on the living being to accept or reject equal treatment by the Lord. The Lord never deviates from his word of honor. When he gives assurance for protection, the promise is executed in all circumstances. It is the duty of the pure devotee to be fixed in the discharge of the duty entrusted to him by the Lord or the Lord's bona fide representative, the spiritual master. The rest is carried on by the Lord without a break. The responsibility of the Lord is also unique. The Lord has no responsibility because all his work is done by his different appointed energies. But still, he accepts voluntary responsibilities in displaying different roles in his transcendental pastimes. As a boy, he was playing the part of a cowboy. As a son of Nanda Maharaj, he discharged responsibility perfectly. Similarly, when he was playing the part of a Kshatriya as the son of Maharaj Vasudev, he displayed all the skills of a martially spirited Kshatriya. In almost all cases, the Kshatriya king has to secure a wife by fighting or kidnapping. This sort of behavior for a Kshatriya is praiseworthy in the sense that a Kshatriya must show his power of chivalry to his would-be wife, so that the daughter of a Kshatriya can see the valor of her would-be husband. Even the personality of the Godhead, Sri Rama displayed such a spirit of chivalry during his marriage. He broke the strongest bow called Dhunar and achieved the hand of Sita Devi, the mother of all opulences. The Kshatriya spirit is displayed during marriage festivals, and there is nothing wrong in such fighting. Lord Shri Krishna discharged such responsibility fully because although he had more than 16,000 wives, in each and every case he fought like a chivalrous Kshatriya and thus secured a wife. To fight 16,000 times to secure 16,000 wives is certainly possible only for the supreme personality of the Godhead. Similarly, he displayed full responsibility in every action of his different transcendental pastime. The 14th quality, knowledge, can be
Mhm.
further extended into five subheadings, namely intelligence, gratefulness, power of understanding the circumstantial environments of place, object, and time. perfect knowledge of everything, and knowledge of the self. Only fools are ungrateful to their benefactors. The Lord, however, does not require benefit from anyone besides himself. Because he is full in himself, still he feels benefited by the unalloyed services of the devotees. The Lord feels grateful to his devotees for such unsophisticated, unconditional service and tries to reciprocate it by rendering service, although the devotee also has no such desire in his heart. The transcendental service of the Lord is itself a transcendental benefit for the devotee, and therefore the devotee has nothing to expect from the Lord on the expect from the Lord. On the assertion of the Vedic aphorism Sarva Khala Idam Brahma, we can understand that the Lord, by his omnipresent rays of his effulgence, called Brahma Jyoti, is all pervading inside or outside of everything, like the omnipresent material sky, and thus he is also omniscient. As far as the beauty of the Lord is concerned, he has some special features that distinguish him from all other living beings. And over and above that, he has some special attractive, beautiful features by which he attracts the mind of even Radharani, the supermost beautiful creation of the Lord. He is known, therefore, as Madan Mohan, or one who attracts the mind of even Cupid. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu has scrutinizingly analyzed other transcendental qualities of the Lord and affirms that Lord Shri Krishna is the absolute supreme personality of the Godhead, Parabrahma. He is omnipotent by his inconceivable energies, and therefore he is the Yogeshwara, or the supreme master of all mystic powers. Being the Yogeshwara, his eternal life is spiritual, a combination of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. The non devotee class cannot understand the dynamic nature of his knowledge because they are satisfied to reach up to his eternal form of the knowledge. All great souls aspire to be equal in knowledge with him. This means that all other knowledge is ever insufficient, inflexible, and measurable, whereas the knowledge of the Lord is ever fixed and unfathomable. Srila Suta Goswami affirms in the Bhagavatam that although he was observed by the citizens of the Dwarka every day, they were ever increasingly anxious to see him again and again. The living beings can appreciate the qualities of the Lord as the ultimate goal, but they cannot attain the status quo of such quality. This material world is a product of Mahatattva, which is a state of the Lord's dreaming condition in his Yoganindra mystic slumber in the causal ocean. And yet the whole creation appears to be a factual representation of his creation. This means that the Lord's dreaming conditions are also factual manifestations. He can therefore bring everything under his transcendental control, and thus, whenever and wherever he does appear, he does so in his fullness. The Lord, being all that is described above, maintains the affairs of the creation, and by his so doing, he gives salvation even to his enemies who are killed by him. He is attractive even to the topmost liberated souls, and thus he is worshipable even by Brahma and Shiva, the greatest of all demigods. Even in his creation of Purusha avatars, he is the Lord of the creative energy. The creative energy is working under his direction, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.10. He is the control switch of all material energy, and to control the material energy in the innumerable universes, he is the root cause of innumerable incarnations in all the universes. There are more than 500,000 incarnations of Manu in only one universe, besides other incarnations in different universes. In the spiritual world, however, beyond the Mahatattva, there is no question of incarnations, but there are plenary expansions of the Lord in different Vaikuntras. The planets in the spiritual sky are at least three times the number of those within the innumerable universes in the Mahatattva. And all the Narayan forms of the Lord are but expansions of his Vasudev creature. And thus, He is Vasudev, Narayan, and Krishna simultaneously. He is Sri Krishna Govind, Hare Murari, He Nath Narayan Vasudeva, all in one. His qualities, therefore, cannot be counted by anyone, however great one may be. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. This purport has so many things. Actually, this purport should have been only one to speak on. But anyways, this is all the 40 qualities that have been discussed here. And so let's start. Let's see some of the things that are already mentioned in here. So first thing Prabhupada mentions is the transcendental qualities, unlimited transcendental qualities. So Prabhupada writes Anant Dev, right? Ananta Shesh has n number of hoods, and even if he starts speaking about the qualities of the Lord, still it won't be enough. That's one part. And then down, Srila Jiva Goswami describes all the qualities of the Lord in terms of, we'll see some of the qualities that I have taken. We'll see some of them in detail. And let's continue. This purport is very big, but it is all talking about the qualities in terms of creation, qualities in terms of maintenance. How does the Lord reciprocate with his devotees? Is he partial? Is he not partial? And things like this. So it continues like this. And then the last, it is all about material creation. It is all about Mahatattva. It is all about different thousands of Manus in that universe. And it's all about creation. So ultimately, Vasudeva, Krishna, Narayan, they are all the same. So let's look at what do we have here. Let me know if you can see my screen. I'm going to share now my screen. Are you able to see my screens?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Let me go to presentation mode. Okay. Fine. So these are all the qualities of the Lord. A quick summary on what Sanatana Goswami talks about the qualities. So Srila Sanatana Goswami says that Shri Krishna is the Atma of all the gunas, right? He's called Gunatma. That means all the qualities, he's the source of all the qualities, right? And very nicely, he says that he gives life to all these gunas. So it is not that that particular guna is because of his gunas quality. No, it is because Sri Krishna gives life to those gunas. That's why. And Sanatana Goswami also says that in the material world, all these gunas, material world also has gunas present, but they do not have life. So the gunas that are present with Shri Krishna has all the life in it. Okay, and he says it cannot be compared with what is available into the material world. So he also says that all the gunas are present in the non-devotees, are temporary and are found in minute quantities and cannot be related to Lord Shri Krishna. And he says some of the gunas that are present are also present in the Lord. So the only difference is all these gunas that Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami is describing, they all are present within us, but then the only difference is they are present in very minute quantities within us. Okay, so that's what we have for Gunatma. Now, some of the qualities that are mentioned, let's pick some of them. We'll see some of the references around those qualities, try to see what is it. So one of the qualities that Jiva Goswami talks about is well-wisher of his devotees. So Krishna gets very pleased if a devotee offers or does very small activity of service towards him. And very specifically here it is mentioned that if you offer a little water or a tulsi leaf in devotion, the Lord is very pleased. Okay, we'll see some of the examples below. And then it is said Krishna is extremely simple. If someone shows love and affection to the Lord, he gives himself to the devotees. And that's the quality which is saying well-wisher. And it is translated as Bhakta Surita. Okay, that's the Sanskrit name for well-wisher of a devotee. And he is the well-wisher of the devotees. He thinks about his devotees because that's the reciprocation that he does with his devotees. And he also knows what is going on in the heart of a devotee. And then he also protects his devotee. So that's his quality as well-wisher. So doing a small service to the Lord, showing some affection and love, and also thinking about him, he reciprocates in the same way. And then he also protects his devotees accordingly. So there are quite a good reference that we can see. The first one is Advaita Acharya, right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended on this earth only when Advaita Acharya actually did offer tulsi and water to the Shaligram. So it was Advaita Acharya who actually called Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come to this material world and bestow all the mercies. So this is one example where the Lord is Bhakta Surita. That means if you offer something to the Lord, he definitely reciprocates. And that's the first example that we have for Advaita Acharya. The other examples that we have is in Ramayana. If we see the character of Shabri, right? We all know she used to taste the bear from her mouth, and she used to offer it to the Lord. So that's again a small service that is done with love and affection. That is part of the Ramayana. In Sri Rangam also, there is also a very nice story where, Sri Rangam, the Lord is there, and Andal used to sort of offer garlands to the Lord. So she used to first take the garland, wear the garland on her own to see, yes, if it would fit the Lord nicely, would it be of good size and stuff. And once the pujari, so the pujari was Vishnuchit, and this was her daughter only. And when he saw that, that her daughter is actually first wearing the garland and then making sure that the Lord is comfortable with the garland and everything fits fine, then she's offering it to the Lord. And Vishnuchit then chastised her daughter, saying no, and he stopped offering that garland. And to the surprise, what happened was the Lord never accepted any other garland. He still he refused to accept any other garland other than what was prepared by her daughter. And this is where, the reciprocation and love and affection again comes in. Bhakya Bihari is another good example in Vrindavan. I don't know if you have been to Bhakya Bihari, but there are n number of stories with Bhakya Bihari. So in Bhakya Bihari temple in Vrindavan, what happens is, the curtain is closed every 15 seconds, okay, and then it is open. And the whole point is that if you keep looking into the eyes of Bhakya Bihari, he becomes yours, okay, he gives himself to you. And there are n number of stories with Bhakya Bihari where, there have been situations where devotees have been very nicely looking at the lotus eyes of the Lord. And it just so happens that once the devotees go out of the temple, the Lord follows him from the altar to with his devotees. So very nice reciprocation. So there's one quality which says Bhakta Surita. Any small service done towards the Lord reciprocates nicely. Okay, let's go. I missed. Okay, so the next, the second good quality that is mentioned is called Sharanagat Palaka. This is protector of the surrendered souls. That's one quality that Srila Goswami mentions in the Prabhupada mentions in the translation. So Krishna is the protector of all the surrendered souls, and this is by habit. Okay, this is his habit. It's not that something he does this because of something. No, it's his habit that he will protect all the surrendered souls. right? And it is said that Krishna is sometimes compared to the moon, which does not hesitate to distribute its soothing rays even to the house of Chandalas and the untouchables. So that's a quality which is Sharanagat Palaka. Again, quite a bit of references when you look at the protector of the surrendered souls. In Ramayana, it is said that, Vibhishan was there, and Vibhishan, everyone told Lord Rama that, Vibhishan should not be trusted. And but Lord Ram, however, declared that if anyone comes to me and says, Tvam Asmi, that means I am yours, I will protect him for the rest of his life. And this is what Vibhishan did. So moment the Lord hears that I am yours, he gives a full protection. So that's one reference from Narayan about this a good quality of the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we have Prahlad Maharaj, who went through so much of troubles from his father. But then the Lord protected Prahlad Maharaj in and out from all the dangers that he had to face. Amrish Maharaj, right, also was protected in the forest. So these are some of the examples from Srimad Bhagavatam. Dhruv Maharaj, sorry, this was about Dhruv. So Dhruv Maharaj also was there where he was protected while he was meditating in the jungle. Similarly, Amrish Maharaj was also protected. So these are some of the examples from Srimad Bhagavatam that talks about protection that was given by the Lord to them. Another example is Sudama. We all know the story of Sudama, how poor he was, but still Krishna protected his friend. So that's a very nice quality of the Lord, which is again protector of the surrendered souls, which is called Sharanagat Palaka. Let's look at the other quality. So highly intelligent, Buddhiman, right? So Lord Krishna is the most intelligent, we all know, right? And it is said that a man is called intelligent if he has sharp memory and fine discretion. But nothing to compare with the intelligence of Lord Krishna. Two beautiful references that come is, one is Jarasandh, Kalyavan and Muchkunda story. So here it is said that, these were people who used to attack the Lord multiple times. And every time, the Lord used to leave them, okay, and give them another chance. Why? Because Jarasandh would every time be freed, he will bring him all the other kings who are Asuric in Pravriti, and then it is easy for the Lord to kill them one by one. So this was going on. And at the last, there was someone called Kalyavan, who was a low caste king. And at that time, it was said that if someone touches the Lord, okay, the low caste, he would be thrown out of the community. So his plan was to bring Kalyavan and let him interact with the Lord. So that was the plan. But later on, you all know the story, right? The Lord is very intelligent. So what the Lord did was, the Lord brought Kalyavan to the Muchkunda. So Muchkunda had actually a boon from Lord Shiva that if he looks, if he's sleeping and if he gets up and someone sees whoever comes first, he would be destroyed. So he opens his eyes, whoever is there in front would get destroyed and would burn into ashes. The Lord was very, very intelligent, and he took him to Muchkunda, and then, okay, he was also finished. So this is his intelligence. The other is from the Mahabharata. We all know that Bhishma Dev had 5 arrows, right? And Bhishma Dev took a vow to kill the Pandavas using this 5 arrows. But then Krishna was very intelligent, right? He knew what is going on, and he knew that there were those 5 arrows that were kept with Bhishma Dev. And then he actually then sent Arjuna. These 5 arrows were with Duryodhan, and asked Arjuna very smartly to go to him and get him removed from him. And this is in exchange when Duryodhan actually, initially Duryodhan was saved by Gandharva on request of Yudhishthir Maharaj. Arjuna actually saved Duryodhan from Gandharva, but then Krishna knew this, that there are 5 arrows which are already kept, and he told Arjuna to go and bring it from Duryodhan. But then in exchange, saying that Duryodhan promised that whenever you need anything from me, you can get it because you saved me from Gandharva. So in this story, then Arjuna goes and says, okay, give me those 5 arrows that are there. So Krishna is very intelligent. So nothing can be compared to his quality of highly intelligent Buddhiman. The other good quality is Sarvagya, all cognizant. So Krishna knows everything. He knows everything that is happening in past, present, future. He knows everything, right? He also understands what is going on with everyone at all times. That is his quality of Sarvagya, or all cognizant. So again, good references from Mahabharata and Vrindavan. So you all know the story, right? Gandhari asked Dhritarashtra to return to him. Is it Gandhari asked Dhritarashtra?
It is Duryodhan.
Duryodhan, sorry for that. I was just, where is Duryodhana? Sorry about this. I must have typo mistakes done. Okay, let me paste it here. Sorry for that. Okay. So this is not. Sorry. Okay. So you all know in Mahabharata, Gandhari asked Duryodhan to return to him after taking bath, completely naked, so that, you know, when Gandhari opens her eyes, his body would turn into a complete steel. And Krishna, who is all knowing, all cognizant, knew exactly what is going to happen. And then Krishna interrupted Duryodhana and convinced him to cover his lower part. And Duryodhan body, when Gandhari opened her eyes, you know, the lower part is what was not converted into a steel. And then, you know, at the later stage, you know, that Bhima actually attacked Duryodhan at his lower part and killed himself. So he is all cognizant. He knows everything that is happening around. And at every stage in Mahabharata, you will find somehow or the other, Krishna always protected Pandavas. There are so many other instances of these stories which are, these are some of them that have been picked up, right? And then the other is Durvasa Muni, right? Krishna exactly knew that Durvasa Muni is going to visit the house of Pandavas in the forest, right? And this was all a plan that was there. And before they could reach Pandava's house, right? Krishna came to Pandavas and asked Draupadi if there is any remnant of the foods that are left. They had just finished the food, and in that patra, there was nothing left. Only one morsel was left, and Krishna was smart, so and he had actually sent all the other rishis, Durvasa Muni and his other rishis, to take part. And moment Krishna took that morsel, you know, automatically the stomach of Durvasa Muni and all the rishis were filled. So Krishna exactly knew what was happening, what was the plan of Duryodhan, sending Durvasa Muni 10,000 disciples, rishis, to their house, knowing that there is nothing left in their house, and Durvasa could then curse them for not feeding himself and his 10,000 disciples. So Krishna is all cognizant. He exactly knows what is going to happen, and he plans ahead of everyone. Yeah. Okay. Another beautiful Leela that Krishna performed in Vrindavan was Brahma Vimohan Leela. And when Brahma took all the cowherd boys and the calves and the cows away from them. Krishna exactly reciprocated, and what happened was Krishna replicated himself to so that the cowherd boys can have which is a form of Krishna, can get reciprocated with the gopis. So this happened for a year, and every gopi reciprocated with Krishna personally in the Vatsalya Bhav. When Brahma took all of them, Krishna actually multiplied himself, distributed himself into various forms of cows and cowherd boys, and then all the gopis, then they reciprocated with Krishna very nicely. So another nice example of a quality called Sarvagya or cognizant. Another one is beautiful bodily features. It's called Suram Yanga. It's the features of the Lord. So Krishna's face is beautiful. His every part of the body, his thighs are mentioned that they are powerful, just like the trunk of the elephants. His arms are like two pillars. His arms, his palms are expanded like lotus flowers. His chest is like a doorway. His hips, his dens, his middle part of the body is, everything on his body is very beautiful, very attractive, very auspicious, right? So this is a feature which is bodily features. And it is said that the 16,100 queens of Krishna begged to Krishna for forgiveness, as they were comparing earlier Krishna's features to the lotus flower, moon, and so forth. But he was much more beautiful than them. So imagine how beautiful the body of the Lord is, right? It is said that in Ramayana also, when Shurpanka, when returned back to Ravana after meeting Ram and Lakshman, she was just so mesmerized with the Lord's beauty that she actually could not take away her eyes from the Lord's lotus, from the Lord's body. I mean, she was constantly looking at the Lord's body, that it was so beautiful. When she returned back, she was describing that the Lord is so beautiful, right? Gopika Geet is all about meditating on the Lord's face. Beautiful song that has been written. Just one line that was picked up was, at the end of the day, you repeatedly show us your lotus face covered with dark blue locks of hair and thickly powered with dust. So one of the features that describes the Lord face in Gopika Geet. Bhishma Dev, if you remember in Bhishma Dev's Stuti, when Bhishma Dev was lying on the arrows, the only thing that he wanted was to look at the Lord's face, look at the Lord's body till he departed. So that was his wish, that he wanted to constantly meditate on the lotus-like face, his red eyes, which were like morning sun, beautiful decorated bodies. So his meditation was, till he leaves the body, he wanted to really go and meditate on the features of the Lord. Yeah. And it is also said that when Krishna used to go for any fighting in the battlefield, people who used to come to fight, used to actually forget why they have come, because when they used to come and see a fight with the Lord, they literally forgot for what purpose they are here, because the Lord was so beautiful, and they were thinking, how can we fight with such a beautiful person? So this was the beauty of the Lord that the Lord showed. Yeah. All worshipable. The quality is called Swaradhya. So Krishna is respected and worshipped by all kinds of human beings and demigods. Okay, he is all worshipable. So it is said that not even living entities, but all demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, but also Vishnu expansions such as Baldev and Shesha, they all worship the Lord. The Lord is all worshipable by everyone. Okay. It is also said that whenever there was a Raj Yagya that was organized by Maharaj Yudhishthir, all the kings who were present, all the demigods and the sages that were present, they used to worship the Lord in this Raj Yagya. Okay, so the Lord was worshipable by each and every living entity, sages and demigods. Okay. Supreme controller, we all know the Lord is supreme controller and he's independent. So it is said that there are two kinds of controllers. One who is independent is also called a controller, and one who orders, whose orders cannot be neglected by anyone, is also called a controller, right? So the Lord is described Swarup, that means he's completely independent. That is the position of the supreme absolute truth. The absolute truth is not only Satan, but he is also completely independent. And just two references that are picked up is Uddhav when he's telling Vidura. So Uddhav tells Vidura that Lord Krishna is master of all three modes of material nature. He is the enjoyer of all opulences, and therefore he is no equal. He is no one equal to or greater than him, and therefore there is no one equal to or greater than him. Okay, that's when Uddhav is telling Vidura this. A very nice statement that also is put one of the devotees, and this is actually from Nectar of Devotion that I've picked up because the qualities are there in Nectar of Devotion, very nicely described. One devotee says, "My dear Krishna, when you order Brahma, now you may create the universe. And when you order Lord Shiva, now you dissolve this material manifestation. You are in this way creating and dissolving the material creation yourself. Simply by your orders and by your partial representation of Vishnu, you are maintaining this universe. In this way, O Krishna, O enemy of Kamsa, there are so many Brahmas and Shivas who are simply carrying out your orders." So the supreme controller, as we saw, two definitions. One who is independent is called controller, and also one whose orders cannot be neglected or rejected. So this is what is mentioned, that when he orders Brahma to say create, or says Vishnu to maintain, or says Shiva to destroy, they are all following your orders. So this means that he is a supreme controller. And as Uddhav says that he's master of all material nature. In Bhagavad Gita, we have so many shlokas that talks about he's about three modes of material nature. That means he's independent as well. So let's stop the share. Rao Prabhu, you can now share the other shloka that we have. Okay, so this is shloka 31. Now let's read the shloka 31. It says, Atmanam chanusochami bhavantam charuttamam devam pitrindrishin sadhun sarvan varnas tathashraman. Translation: I'm thinking about myself and also, O best amongst the demigods, about you, as well as about the demigods, sages, dens of Pitralok, devotees of the Lord, and all men obedient to the system of Varna Ashram in human society. Purport. Can someone read the purport?
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Purport. To effect the perfection of human life, there is cooperation between men and demigods, sages, denizens of the Pitruloka, devotees of the Lord, and the scientific system of Varna and Ashrama orders of life. The distinction between human life and animal life therefore begins with the scientific system of Varna and Ashrama, guided by the experience of the sages in relation with the demigods, gradually rising to the summit of re-establishing our eternal relation with the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. When God made Varnashrama Dharma, which is strictly meant for developing animal consciousness into human consciousness and human consciousness into godly consciousness, is broken by advancement of foolishness. The old system of peaceful and progressive life is at once disturbed. In the age of Kali, the first attack of the venomous snake strikes against the God-made Varnashrama Dharma, and thus a person properly qualified as Brahmana is called Sudra, and a Sudra by qualification is passing as a Brahmana, all on a false birthright claim. To become Brahmana by a birthright claim is not at all bona fide, although it may be fulfillment of one of the conditions. But the real qualifications of a Brahmana is to control the mind and the senses, and to cultivate tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, knowledge, truthfulness, devotion, and faith in the Vedic wisdom. In the present age, consideration of the necessary qualification is being neglected, and the false birthright claim is being supported even by a popular, sophisticated poet, the author of Ramacharitamanasa. This is all due to the influence of age of the Kali. Thus, Mother Earth, represented as a cow, was lamenting the regrettable condition.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Jai Shri.
So again, we saw last time also, right, in all the discussions that we saw when the bull and cow they are discussing, it was all about the degradation of the Kali Yuga. We saw so many shlokas last time saying that there is degradation that is happening around, and this all degradation is okay, and all this degradation that was happening was because of the age of Kali. And we also saw last time was that Prabhupada clearly mentioned in the purport that, you know, everyone like Brahmana, Shudra, Kshatriyas, and Vaishya, they were not performing their duties. So Prabhupada talks about the purpose of the Varnashram Dharma and how it is destroyed in this particular shloka. Prabhupada says there is an animal consciousness which is at the lowest level, and Varnashram Dharma is typically meant so that we can arose, or we can come out from that on animal consciousness to a human consciousness, and from the human consciousness you can come to a godly consciousness. So Varna Ashram Dharma typically is taking us from an animal consciousness to a God consciousness. But Prabhupada clearly writes that he gives an example in this purport, and translation is the translation is Brahmana, right, who is supposed to control the mind and senses, who should be tolerant, who should be simple, who should have cleanliness, who should be knowledgeable, truthful, he should be devotional, he should have faith in Vedic wisdom. All this was actually not happening, and the so-called Brahmana is actually falling down to the level of Shudras. And it was just that they were just looking at one qualification, that by birth, okay, if he's a Brahmana, it is okay. But then ignoring all the qualities that Prabhupada mentioned, that, you know, this was not what the Brahmanas as a quality they were maintaining. And the first thing that Kali did was, Prabhupada says, was to attack the Varnashram Dharma and degrade people from their post, from their Varna and Ashram, so that, you know, Brahmana are actually going and falling into a Shudra quality. So that was one of the qualities of Kali, that Varna Ashram system was completely destroyed, and all the people were not performing their set duties. And as a result, Prabhupada clearly says that everyone was acting at the level of Shudra. Okay. Now, Prabhu, can you share the screen again, please? Okay.
Doing
Proper
Prabhupada.
use, yeah, okay. Okay, so let's say 32 and 33. Now, what is mentioned here, right? 32, 33. Brahmadayo bahutitam yadapanga moksha kamastapa samacharan bhagavat prapanna Sashri swavasamaravindha vadanam vihaya tatpadaso bhagamalam bhajate anurakta. Then where did I reach? Anurakta. Okay. Then the next is tasyaham ja kuli kulesha tasyaham bhakja kulisha shakulesh. Sorry. Let me. Tasyaham abja kulishan kushaketu kete. Srimad Pader Bhagavad Samalang Kratangi Trinatyaro cha upalabhya tato vibhutim lokan samam prasajat utsmaya yatim tad ante. Translation. Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, whose elegance of grace was sought by demigods like Brahma, and for whom they surrendered many a day onto the personality of Godhead, gave up her own abode in the forest of the lotus flowers and engaged himself in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. I was endowed with specific powers to supersede the fortune of all three planetary systems by being decorated with the impressions of the flag, thunderbolt, elephant driving rod, and lotus flower, which are the signs of lotus feet of the Lord. But at the end, when I felt I was so fortunate, the Lord left me. Can one read the purport?
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The beauty and opulences of the world can be enhanced by the grace of the Lord and not by any man-made planning. When the Lord Sri Krishna was present on this earth, the impressions of the special signs of his lotus feet were stamped on the dust. And as a result of this specific grace, the whole earth was made as perfect as possible. In other words, the rivers, the seas, the forests, the hills, and the mines, which are the supplying agents for the necessities of man and animals, were fully discharging their respective duties. Therefore, the riches of the world surpassed all the riches of the other planets in the three planetary systems of the universe. One should therefore ask that the grace of the Lord always be present on the earth, so that we may be favored with his causeless mercy and be happy. Having all necessities of life, one may ask how we can detain the Supreme Lord on the earth after his mission is fulfilled and he has left this earth for his own abode. The answer is that there is no need to detain the Lord. The Lord, being omnipresent, can be present with us if we want him at all. By his omnipresence, he can always be with us if we are attached to his devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. There is nothing in the world with which the Lord is disconnected. The only thing we must learn is to excavate the source of connection, and thus be linked with him by offenseless service. We can be connected with him by the transcendental sound representation of the Lord. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical, and one can chant the holy name of Lord in an offenseless manner, can at once realize that the Lord is present before him. Even by the vibration of radio sounds, we can partially realize sound relativity, and by resounding the sound of transcendence, we can verily feel the presence of the Lord. In this age, when everything is polluted by the contamination of Kali, it is instructed in the scriptures and preached by the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that by chanting the holy name of the Lord, we can at once be free from contamination and gradually rise to the status of transcendence and go back to the Godhead. The offenseless chanter of the holy name of the Lord is as auspicious as the Lord himself, and the movement of pure devotees of the Lord all over the world can at once change the troublesome face of the world. Only by the propagation of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord can we be immune from all effects of the age of Kali. Jai
Exactly.
Srila Prabhupada. Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, a very beautiful purport. Let's see what we have. Okay, sorry, so let me go first. Okay, so this is 16th, 32 and 33. So here we see that the reason for the lamentation that is there is the Mother Bhumi was feeling loss of Supreme Lord that had departed from the planet. So this was the cause of the lamentation, because the Lord was no more present on this world. He had already departed to a spiritual abode. So Prabhupada describes, what was the situation. So the Lord's presence previously, the Lord was present on the planet of the Earth's surface, and it was marked with all the auspicious symbols from his lotus feet. So this is what is mentioned in the translation, that there are auspicious marks on the lotus feet of the Lord. And when the Lord was present on this material world, his auspicious symbols were also present as he was walking everywhere. Okay, so that was the Lord's present. And because the Lord was present on the planet, there was also the goddess of fortune was also bestowing all her blessings on the planet. We all know where the Lord is, the goddess of fortune also will be with the Lord. And since the Lord was present on the planet, it was like all the blessings were bestowed onto this particular planet. This is why you'll find that everything was perfect. The rains, the grains, the abundance of the milk, cows, everything was present when the Lord was there, and everything was in sufficient quantity when the Lord was there. So this is the Lord's present, his beautiful auspicious marks, and with him being there, all the good fortune was present on the Earth planet. So that was the Lord's presence. Now, if you look at the condition of the Mother Earth earlier, as I said, because the goodness of the goddess of fortune was there, all the rivers were flowing, seas were flowing perfectly. There were all necessity. Everything was supplied in an optimal way to both men and animals. Milk, water, natural resources was in abundance. This was the condition of the Mother Earth earlier because of the presence of the Lord. But then later, when the Lord departed, what was the situation? It was the opposite. So when the Lord departed, it is said that the agents of Kali began to make their impressions on the planet, right? and all the irreligious activities started on the planets. Last time also we saw all, because of all influence of the Kali, the degradation of the religion started heavily on this. And this is what is mentioned, that all irreligious activities started when the Lord departed. Killing of animals, cows was too much prominent, and ultimately what was happening was all the resources were becoming unavailable, lack of rain, food, etc. So this is the reason of lamentation. Lord presence was there with goddess of fortune with him, which had all the necessities given to the Mother Earth planet. But then later on, when the Lord departed, Kali really started making his impressions, and this is what we see what started happening. Now, Prabhupada also talks about in the translation, how can we have the presence of the Lord when the Lord has already departed? So Prabhupada says, yes, you really don't have to worry about if the Lord is no more present. One of the qualities of the Lord is omnipresent. That means the Lord is present everywhere with us if we want him to be there present. So that's one of the quality of omnipresence. He can always be with us if we are attached to his transcendental devotional service. That's very important. So how can the quality of the Lord of omnipresence be seen? When we engage ourselves or we are attached to his devotional services. And there are a lot of devotional services then that we can do for the Lord, and the best way is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Right? So chanting the holy name immediately invokes the presence of the Lord. So if you are chanting the holy name, means that the Lord is with you, right? And the world can become auspicious just by simply chanting the holy name of the Lord. And the chanting of the holy Lord, one can get all the perfection. So Prabhupada says, yes, the Lord can be with you again with doing some devotional service. And Prabhupada says, the best way is to chant the holy name of the Lord. So once you chant the holy name, the Lord is with you immediately. Okay? And it would be all auspicious, and it would bring in all the perfection needed. So that's the quality of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Again, most powerful. It is very auspicious. It is very spiritually powerful. And the only thing is we have to chant offenselessly. Okay. Once you chant the name of the Lord offenseless, then it is pure chanting of the Lord. Okay. And in Kali Yuga, it is mentioned that Krishna comes as holy name. The Lord appears in this material world through the chanting. So under the influence of age of Kali, there are people who are involved in different sinful activities. Irreligious activities are prominent in the age of Kali, but the only way to counteract this sinful irreligious activity is chanting the holy name of the Lord. And once we take the names of the Lord, it is said that it would enter into the heart of the people, sinful people, and change them. That's the power of chanting. So very auspicious, very powerful. If you do it offenseless chanting, then it really cleans your heart from inside, and you will see a change in those people, right? So it is pure, it is complete, it is eternally liberated, and it is the most merciful incarnation of Krishna. Most merciful. You take the name of the Lord, you would be liberated. So that's the power of the chanting. A few examples, just I took two of them that just came. Jagai and Madai were delivered 5,000 years back by Nityananda Prabhu. All know Prabhupada in this modern world. Can you hear me? Or my connection went out for a second?
No
Yes,
problem.
we can hear you.
Okay. And today in the modern world, we all know Prabhupada delivered thousands and thousands of people by bringing the holy name of the Lord. So two very good examples on Jagai Matai got delivered by Nityanand Prabhu. They took up the chanting of the holy names. And then Prabhupada himself brought this holy name to this material world and delivered thousands and thousands of people that we have. So Prabhupada is trying to say in this purport, in this shloka, is Krishna is never lost, right? He's always there. Two beautiful shlokas that I like the most in Bhagavad Gita. One is Bhagavad Gita and one is from Brahma Samhita. So let's read both of them. Very nice shlokas. Yo mam paschyanti sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami. It says, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor he is ever lost to me. This is what Prabhupada is trying to say. Krishna is never lost, he's always there. And his second shloka from Brahma Samhita is very nice. Premanjana charita bhakti vilechanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundara Chinta Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are adorned with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Sham Sundara, situated within the heart of his devotees. So Krishna is never lost. He is always there. It's all about how are you seeing the Lord. Okay, this is what these two shlokas are talking about. So Krishna never disappears from the sight of his devotees, nor the devotee ever loses sight of the Lord. This is what is the bottom line from coming from these two shlokas, right? An intimate relationship with the Lord and the devotee always exist. That is always there between the Lord and his devotees. Okay. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of the sight of his devotees. That means Krishna is never lost. Never lost to his devotees. Devotee never sees Krishna out of their vision. This is what Prabhupada is saying, that Krishna is never lost, right? One more thing, what Prabhupada tries to mention here is the offenseless chanter of the holy name of the Lord is as auspicious as the Lord himself. The only thing that we need to try to do is to do an offenseless chanting, offenseless service to the Lord. And if you see, there are three categories. I'll quickly go through this. One is Namaparad, where you are not chanting the holy name of the Lord correctly, but then slowly with the practice, you come to a level of Namabhas, and actually you should try to achieve something called Shuddhanam, right? So here Prabhupada says, if one is able to chant without offense, then he proceeds either to a Namabhas or to Shuddhanam, which bears the ripened fruit of prema. So that's the first stage, but we should try to come to these two levels. Namabhas is the middle stage, where person is a sadhaka and is in the process of surrender to Krishna. He's into this process. He is sadhaka and starts to develop the taste for the Supreme Lord, his names, his forms, etc. So he's at an initial stage where he's trying to develop the taste for all the name, forms, and activities of the Lord. As the Nam starts to dance on his lips, and more he becomes enchanted and takes bhakti, and Sri Krishna has his sole refuge. So he's in this process where he's trying to get more and more. He's trying to elevate himself. He's trying to take bhakti more seriously and tries to understand that Sri Krishna is his only sole refuge. This is the stage of Namabhas. And then when he goes to the next level, he comes to a level of Shuddhanam, where he becomes advanced. And at this level, he gets to a platform of Shuddha Bhakti, which is nothing but total surrenderance. Okay, that's Shuddhanam. He gets rati, he feels separation from the Lord, he pangs, he sighs, he laughs, he cries. These are all the characteristics described when he reaches the stage of Shuddhanam. These are the symptoms that he develops for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as a person, as a sadhaka chants the Shuddhanam more and more, he gets the ultimate sweet ripened fruit, which is Krishna Prem. So that's the last level. So Prabhupada says, try to be offenseless while chanting, and these are the various stages where we should try to go. We should try to reach to a level of Shuddhanam. Namabhas is the middle stage where we may be, or we may be at the level of Namabhas also. Okay. Okay. So how can we again have the presence of the Lord? I think I covered this. Sorry, this is just the same that I did. So this is the last part where it says you have to do everything offenseless. Okay. Let's go to the shloka number 34. Prabhu, can you share your screen now?
Sure, Prabhuji.
Okay, so 34. Okay, so 34 shloka is Yove mamati bharama suravam sharagya maksho hini shatamabhanu dadatmam tantra tvam du tamu padamapmani purushena sampadayan yadushuramya bibhatra angam. Translation: O personality of religion, I was greatly overburdened by the overdue military planks arranged by atheist kings, and I was relieved by the grace of personality of Godhead. Similarly, you were also in a distress condition, weakened in your standing strength, and thus he also incarnated by his internal energy in the family of Yadu to relieve you. Purport.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The Asuras want to enjoy a life of sense gratification, even at the cost of others' happiness. In order to fulfill this ambition, the Asuras, especially atheistic kings or state executive heads, try to equip themselves with all kinds of deadly weapons to bring about a war in a peaceful society. They have no ambition other than personal aggrandizement, and thus Mother Earth feels overburdened by such undue increase of military strength. By increase of the Asuric population, those who follow the principles of religion become unhappy, especially the devotees or devas. In such a situation, the personality of Godhead incarnates to vanquish the unwanted asuras and to re-establish the true principles of religion. This was the mission of Lord Sri Krishna, and he fulfilled it. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, okay, so 34 now. So 34 is all talking about the Asura mentality, right? And how the Lord gives protection. So here, Asura mentality is all about the kings and all the administrative people who were involved in all unnecessary things. Prabhupada very specifically mentions that they are involved in increasing their power, status, and wealth unnecessarily, which is not required. So Asura mentality is all those kings and their people who are trying to unnecessarily increase their military powers by bringing all different things. So that's the Asura mentality that Prabhupada is talking about. And Prabhupada very specifically says that this Asura mentality is all about sense gratification at the cost of others' happiness. And this is what was appearing in the Kali Yuga, that there were kings who were actually going towards this Asura mentality. And how does the Lord give the protection? Very nice shloka in Bhagavad Gita 4:8. We all know this shloka: Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samstharpanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principle of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So Prabhupada says, yes, the only protection is through the Lord. And if you remember in Bhagavatam, it is said that when the Lord really wanted to come down, Bhumi Devi, taking the form of a cow with all the other demigods, went to the Lord who was lying in the Shir Sagar, and then requested him, saying that because of the irreligion that is happening, can you please come on to the earth? And this is what is the Lord doing. The Lord is coming to do and deliver all the pious and annihilate the miscreants. So they go to the Lord and request him to come down. And then you know the story that Lord comes in with all his paraphernalia and all his other associates, and they are helped by the Lord to come to this material world. So this is the Asura mentality, and the only protection Prabhupada says is yes, the Lord will come to establish the religious principle, and this shloka is very relevant to that part. Okay. Prabhupada, can we see 35?
Sure, Prabhupada.
Okay, so 35. Kava saheta viharam purushottamasya premavaloka ruchirasti tavaglu jalpe sthairye samana maharan madhuri. Sorry, sthairya samana maharan dhuma nininam romos tavo mama yad angri vitanki tayaha. Translation: who therefore can tolerate the pangs of separation from that supreme personality of Godhead? He could conquer the gravity and passionate warmth of his sweethearts like Satyabhama by sweet smile of love, pleasing glance, and heartily appeals. When he traversed my earth's surface, I would be immersed in the dust of his lotus feet, and thus would be sumptuously covered with grass, which appeared like hairs stranding on me out of pleasure. Purport:
There were chances of separation between the Lord and his thousands of queens because of the Lord's being absent from home. But as far as his connection with the earth was concerned, the Lord would traverse the earth with his lotus feet, and therefore there was no chance of separation. When the Lord left the surface of the earth to return to his spiritual abode, the earth feelings of separation was therefore more acute.
Thank you, Prabhu. So let's see on 35. Okay, so 35 is all about the separation part. Now, the very important part here is Mother Earth was the most fortunate. In what sense? See, Lord Krishna used to travel from one place to other. So today he's in Vrindavan, then he leaves out and he goes to Mathura. From Mathura he goes to Dwarka, and he used to roam around. However, all the inhabitants of these places, including the Lord's queens and the gopis, they felt separation from the Lord. Okay, because today the Lord is here, he left, Vrindavan, everyone was crying for with the separation. But the most fortunate part was the Mother Earth is the one who got the maximum association of the lotus feet of the Lord. Since the Lord was present on this earth, the maximum association that anyone has got, not even people from Vrindavan, from Mathura, or from Dwarka, but Mother Earth was the most fortunate because he got the maximum association of the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, he was the most fortunate. And then when the Lord descended to the spiritual spiritual abode, the Mother Earth was lamenting because of this separation. So she was the most fortunate Mother Earth, but then when the Lord really went, she was in real separation. She was really lamenting for that particular separation. So here it is clearly said that others were not fortunate, but Mother Earth was the most fortunate. Okay. Can we look at the last shloka, which is 36? Okay, let's see 36 now. That's the end of the chapter here. Okay. Tayorevam kathayato prithvi dharma yostada Parikshinama Rajashri Prapta Prachim Saraswatim. Translation. While the earth and personality of religion were thus engaged in the conversation, the saintly king Parikshit reached the shore of Saraswati river, which flowed towards the east. Purport. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of first canto, 16th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. Now there would be an interaction between Parikshit and the Kali. So this was just a conversation that was happening between the earth and the personality of the religion, where they were lamenting on various aspects. They were asking questions on what happened to you, what was the situation, how the Kali is putting its influence, and they were answering each other. And by the end now, Parikshit Maharaj reaches the shore of the Saraswati river, and then the next chapter will talk about this. Thank you, everyone, for today's session.
Thank you.
Prabhu, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Wonderful class. बहुत detail में आप गए. It was nice, very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, and welcome back.
Thank you. Anybody
Prabhu
has
has
any
come?
questions?
Yeah, Prabhu is back.